All right. Welcome to the First 11 show. Tonight we'll be picking our first 11 of the 2000 to 2010 era. But before we get into it, some quick announcements. Please follow us on our social media. So, Instagram, Twitter, where you can get updates on upcoming shows, announcements, and so on. For those that are watching, please just put in the chat where you're watching from and let us know so we can shout you out. So I'll let my co-hosts introduce themselves really quickly. So your name and what club you support.
Who goes first?
Moya Dre, you can go first.
Okay, hi. Moya Dre here. Just my name and what club I support. Yeah, you can just refer to me as Moya Dre. And I am a Real Madrid faithful. I love Madrid. Been with Real Madrid for 21 years now. Yeah, 2000. So yeah, it's good to be on the show.
Hey everyone, this is Shay here once again. Chelsea fan, as you know, I bleed blue all the way.
My name is Goofy, City Boy, and you know how it goes. Some people call me Encyclopedia, but I go by Goofy.
Cool, cool. All right. So quickly, I already see. Yeah, people. Dari, Hooters, Texas. Huh. Cool. All right. So quickly, just do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Like the video. That always helps out for sure. But just want to get into it right away. So first thing we're going to talk about today, Barcelona, right? So as you guys know, Xavi, new manager, legend at the club, obviously. He's played under some of the greatest managers you can think of in the last, 10, 12 years. Um, him coming to the club now, what do you think his impact would be? Is he the type of person they need? Do you think he even has a shot based on all the struggles that Barcelona has had recently? I want to get your thoughts. Well, Dre, you can go first.
Yes, Barcelona in trouble. It is music to my ears being a Real Madrid fan. I like seeing Barcelona in trouble, but not this much trouble. So the carousel of managers over the past couple of years has it hasn't done Barca any good because I feel for a fact that they lost their best manager in a while since Pep Guardiola for no reason, and that was Ernesto Valverde. And nothing has gone well for Barcelona since then. He was fired for mostly his style and the signings and a lot of things didn't gel, but they were still winning. They were winning by a margin. They were still the strongest team in La Liga at that time. And I'm not sure who came directly after him, but we've had Ronald Koeman since then for like the past 2 years now. Obviously, that didn't turn out well. One of I think it was 92 Barcelona winning goal. He scored the Barcelona winning goal in the final. So in some form, he's a Barcelona legend himself. And I think you know a like for like replacement, like just Xavi picking up from where he left off, is not going to do Barcelona any good. I don't think Xavi has the experience to lead a team of that size, club of that size. Granted, they don't have Leo Messi, the best player for Barcelona in however many years they've been in existence, or depending on who you ask, Maradona, Ronaldinho, Messi played, so you don't, but Messi's probably their greatest player. They've lost Messi, a huge loss to any team that loses Messi. They've lost Griezmann. Piqué is on his last leg, pretty much. Sergio Busquets is on his last leg. Jordi Alba is on his last leg. That whole spine is gone. That whole spine of Barcelona that we know is gone. On this team, they have Memphis, they have Aguero, who's going to be sidelined for at least a quarter of the year. Um, and this is what Xavi's walking into. He's walking into this team that has no guaranteed star player. There's no player that can guarantee to show up every weekend for 2 months. They don't have Messi. They don't have Griezmann, and Griezmann couldn't fill those shoes. Coutinho, all their big signings are failing to live up to the expectation. They continue Dembele, um, and then the other guy, well, Griezmann, who has transferred back to Atletico Madrid. So I think he's in for a huge shock when he gets to that training ground. I'm pretty sure he's been there and he's wondering what the hell he's going to do with this guy. Real Madrid playing their best football for the past couple of years now. Atletico Madrid not playing their best, but still up there. And Real Sociedad surprisingly top of La Liga. Sevilla also biting at the top. So I think Xavi has a lot to handle, and I hope that the Barcelona fans are patient because it would be nice to see Xavi going to Zidane or Guardiola himself when we're seeing players that we watched growing up take the hot seat. It's always very, very nice. It's a familiar face of course, So I hope he can be somewhat successful, not successful enough to like beat Real Madrid and win the league or something. But I really hope that this is, I hope we're seeing a top line. He's won so many trophies at Al Sadd, but obviously Al Sadd is not exactly a metric of of your coaching abilities. I think he's won
Yeah.
11 or 14 trophies in 96. He's won something ridiculous like that.
He's won a lot of trophies there,
Yeah,
and
but all that's in 96 games. Let's just say
yeah.
he's won 10 trophies. So he wins a trophy every 9.6 games. So I don't think that really counts for much. A trophy, it's an achievement, but when it comes to European football, this is Barcelona. Barcelona has done damage over the last decade and a half, really. And a lot of teams want their revenge right now. Uh, and
So
this will be the best time.
so I mean that's a good way to start. Do you guys think he's actually going to get the support from you know
The
the
cool
Barcelona, yeah, the Barcelona clan, right? The
I
clan
I
that
I
don't
I'm gonna jump the gun again and say I don't think so. I
right.
think the Xavi appointment was like to please the fans because
The
the
fans.
fans were just like out of the place. But then if you also remember that's what happened with Real Madrid when they appointed Zidane. It was everybody was upset with Rafa Benitez and they were like, man, we need to get somebody that the fans absolutely love. And it turned out to be Real Madrid's greatest decision since Cristiano Ronaldo. So,
Okay.
uh,
I mean that's
yeah,
a good point, and I want to Goffy and Shady chime in here a bit. When it comes to the expectation, where do you think the Barcelona fans should set their expectations at this point? Because, I mean, this is like the low of the low that the low, some of the lowest times they've had in a while, with everything that happened with Messi and the financial struggles. What is the expectation for them going forward, at least in this coming season? Maybe this we assume this season is almost kind of halfway gone. In the next season, what do you think they should be expecting?
I'll take this one. We all know that football has a romantic side to it, right? And it just feels like that's what this is all about. Is about the romanticism of bringing a former legend to come back. Look, when it works, it looks like a genius decision and a masterstroke, right? But when it doesn't, oof, man, it stinks up the whole place, right? I think I saw I saw a headline today that said Xavi will have all of about 10 million euros in the transfer market in January, and I just started laughing. Like, just when you think their troubles are over, it gets worse, right? So when it comes to expectations, unfortunately, there's a whole generation of Barcelona fans out there right now who have known nothing but massive, massive success, right? And they are going to be clamoring for that, for the good times, the quote unquote good times to come back, right? But the reality is much, much different, right? So it's going to be a very, very difficult balancing act on the football side, from Javi's perspective, looking at the talent he has to work with, and also from the administration or the management side, from on the financial side, by the new president, right? If there's no money, there's very little that Xavi can do. I mean, it just it just doesn't translate. Whatever it is he has done at outside, right? La Liga is a whole different. It's a whole different animal, right? So maybe he can get it to maybe some of it can get to translate, but when you're looking at the what's the word I'm looking for here? It's a huge jump, right? As we'll get to someone else that just made a similar jump, right? It's a different kettle of fish. So expectation game is going to have to be properly managed, and they might stumble for a while, and they might get it, or this plane is just going to crash and burn like the one before it. That's my take.
Yeah. So, Goffy, what do you think?
So I'm going to play the ultimate contrarian in here. And I think that the final details are more important than the actual big picture. So when people say, for example, I saw a comment that said it's Ole and Lampard at the same time. And I'm thinking to myself, was Lampard really that bad in his first season?
No,
if you think about it, he
the
wasn't
bias,
that bad,
but no.
right?
I
And
suppose.
they actually didn't have. He stepped into a situation. There was a transfer ban. He was forced to play the young guys, the players they had on loan, all their young talent. He was forced to play them. And one thing I'm starting to notice about young players in football is most of them are hungry to prove themselves for some reason. That's why you have a lot of these young 20, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds. It's like they're hitting their peak at very young ages just because. And I think it's just maybe the sign of the times. Everything moves faster now. Things are not the way they were when you're waiting until somebody's 25. At 22, there's people hitting goals and they're just faster, they're stronger, they're smarter. There's so much tape on what they need to do. So I think when he gets in, there's no expectation, there's no money. Barcelona fans, that's one thing they fell into a trap of. They became delusional and they thought they were Madrid. So they started buying players. And that's not what they do. Typically, Barcelona will get one guy that changes everything. And then they pad him up, they add, and then they overdo it. It's the same thing they did with Ronaldinho. It's the same thing they did with Messi. Ronaldinho came in, he was the dawn. Then they added guys that complement, and then they started adding players that didn't make any sense. Players that would give them a little bit, but didn't make sense for the big picture for the long term. Like I remember when they signed Edmilson, Deco, Van Bommel in the same midfield, and they had Xavi there. And it didn't make sense. Like, why are these guys in the team when you already have these guys? But they won the Champions League in 2006, and that team was stacked. I mean, they had Henrik Larsson on the bench. They even bought Matthew Rodriguez and put him on the bench from nowhere. Like, why is that guy on the team? So they go through these phases where they get one guy that changes everything, at least in the last 15 years. Now, when Xavi comes in, he will enjoy maybe enjoy is not the word. He will enjoy the no expectation. So now he can tinker. He can bench people. He can do pretty much anything. Barcelona fans are not walking around thinking they're going to win the Champions League. They're not delusional. They're not walking around thinking they're going to win 3, 4, 5 titles in the next 5 years. That's just crazy if they think that. So what is going to happen is he's not going to have that expectation to like win major trophies. All he has to do is give the young guys a chance, set the defense, and play decent football.
So this is
that
kind of ties into that. So who is that person, right? So they, of course, like you said, they've had those names in the past: Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, Ronaldinho. So who is that player that Barcelona is looking to and help?
That's a good question.
It's the new number 10, Ansu Fati.
Really? Do you think?
That's what they're betting it on. They're betting everything on Ansu Fati. That's why they gave him the number 10.
But do you think he's in a very elite,
it's crazy to put it's crazy to put that much weight on his shoulders, right? That much expectation on that kid, but that's what they're doing. And I've tried to watch him some. He clearly makes a difference. In the last few games that he's been back, he's definitely made a difference for them. in a way no other person has on that left wing, right? So he has an impact, but can he carry them the way Messi can? I think that's unfair to put that much pressure on him. But he's a good kid. He's a good kid. They have a number of good, talented kids in that team. What's the guy that plays in midfield? Gavi, and the other guy, I forget his name now.
You're hitting the point. You're hitting the point. Football has changed. Football has changed from when one guy can make that much of a difference to where one guy has enough space. If you have one guy, unless his messy levels of dribbling, even the fullbacks are athletes. So he's not taking on 2, 3, 4 people beating them. You need 4, 5, 6 technically good players. They all come together. They all work together. It's the same thing that happened to Lampard when he was at Chelsea. Yeah, just one guy in defense, Reece James. You have one guy in the middle. You have one guy that play left back and can manage. You need 2, 3 experienced players in there that can just hold the ball, know what to do, 70th minute, 75th minute, 80th minute. They know how to play. And then let the young guys do the major of the running. It's all about running now. So they just need guys that are technically gifted and can run. They don't need to win titles. That's the last thing they need to worry about right now.
True. Moyo, I see you want to chime in. Can you kind of take that angle, but also look at what
I totally agree. You know, I hardly agree with AJ, but with Frank Lampard, I really so the decision to fire Frank Lampard seems justified because they won the Champions League. You know what I'm saying? It seems justified, but I really think Lampard also, you know, he jumped into a scenario where he fell into the deep end, really. He fell into the deep end. And it was difficult for him to swim out, but he made some sort of progress. Not enough progress. Because in football these days, the fans aren't patient. There's no patience. There's no room for losses. If you watch every game, if you listen to commentary, if you see fans, if you see tweets, all that stuff, it's all about an instant. Everybody wants, people literally want a trophy for every game. And I don't think that's right. But football has changed. The pace has changed. Social media has changed. Access to football has changed everything. You know, a lot of fan bases cannot accept the defeat. They can't accept team playing bad. And it's just gonna happen.
No, I think Moyo is talking from there's 2 fan bases. There's only 2 that think that way. And that's Real Madrid and Manchester United. When Lampard got the job at Chelsea, let me finish. When Lampard got the job at Chelsea with the transfer ban, no Chelsea fan in their right mind thought they were going to win the Premier League. There was no Chelsea fan that was walking around.
They were very upset that he got this young crop of players. And the season he got fired, like, he got this young crop of players, and why is none of them? Why are they not winning? Why is none of them the new?
The expectation changed.
Yeah, that's true.
The transfer ban came off. The expectation changed. There was money involved. Now, a lot of these young managers struggle with that change. You have to be exceptional.
Does that not prove my point?
So Xavi is going to get, like I said, he's going to get a time frame where there's no expectation, there's no money, because the budget is not going to increase anytime. They're not paying 1.something billion in debt in one season.
Yeah.
So whatever amount of money they have to spend is not changing anytime soon. So Barcelona fans are not walking around right now thinking they're winning the league and the Champions League. If you see any Barcelona fan tweeting that, it's a bot. It's not a real person. There's no way they can expect that. It's just unrealistic.
So I'll tell you that expectation, that window is very, very little. That Xavi no expectation window is very, very small. I believe by March, if Barcelona are still 6th or 7th, you will hear cries.
There might be cries, and I think, you know, to what Gofi was saying, the expectation kind of morphs over time depending on the scenario. So coming in, there's like a lower expectation because of the history of the last year and a half with Messi leaving. But as he starts to settle in, people get used to him, and maybe they start addressing some of the financial issues. Those expectations will rise. The fans are not patient any longer. So now we're going to switch a little bit. So that's one side of the world. Now you come to England, you're seeing kind of what we're used to now in the Premier League, right? So managers coming in, managers leaving. Conte has come into the Premier League, right? Gerrard now has now come to Aston Villa, where he's been successful, Rangers, and done a lot of good work there. What is this trend that we're seeing some of the top managers come to the Premier League, and what is the expectation now for someone like Conte going to Spurs, knowing they always say Spurs are like the biggest, smallest club that ever existed, right? So, what is the expectation for him at Spurs? Do we think there's going to be a positive impact on that assignment? And also with Gerrard going to Villa, what are we expecting from a Liverpool legend that apparently he scored more goals against Aston Villa than any other team he played against? So,
Moya is about to be irritated with talking about Spurs.
How did you know that? How did you know that? I'm looking at Spurs. I'm looking at Spurs, and I've watched football. I started supporting Real Madrid in 2000, so I've watched a good amount of football. Spurs,
Say it. Rip the
Tottenham
Band-Aid.
Hotspur. What is going on? Like, since when do we expect anything from Spurs? Spurs made it to the Champions League final. That's fine. Spurs made it to the Champions League final. It happens. Porto made it to the Champions League final. Valencia made it to the Champions League final twice in 3 years. Making it to the Champions League final doesn't automatically make you a top team. It means you had a good season. Period. You had good draws. You won good games. You fought from behind. Because I remember watching their semifinal versus Ajax, or was it Man City? And I saw, Lucas Moura score a hat trick or something like that. I don't think he scored 3 Champions League goals since then. Tottenham Hotspur are Tottenham Hotspur. There should be no expectation, realistically. There's a league is perfectly broken up. It's broken into 4 teams for Champions League, 2 teams for Europa, the rest of the teams, and 3 teams dropping down. And Spurs should never be anywhere near that top 4. Realistically speaking, come on, let's be serious. If Spurs start breaking into the top 4, it's going to happen once in a while. There's some teams that are always going to fight, always going to make it to the top 4 of their leagues. Every year, there's always some outside team. Look at every league across Europe. I promise you, the top 5 leagues, there's always that one that struggles for 1 year. Lille won the league last year in France. Everybody seems to forget that. People just assume PSG won. No, Lille are the French champions. But when you watch the Champions League, they refer to PSG as, French champions or the French giants or something. But Lille is also playing in the group stage. So with Tottenham Hotspur, I respect Tottenham Hotspur somewhat. I think they deserve to be, they deserve to make it to the Europa League every year. I think they're in that position. I think they're in a position to be the best of the rest. I believe that. I honestly believe that. But appointing Conte is just going to be a blemish on his record, on Conte's record, because he's going to come to the league. He's going to spend some time. They're going to hustle. They're going to bustle. And no matter how good they get, they're just going to fall short to Manchester City, Liverpool, even Man United. So I don't see it. Arsenal right here has turned their season around. Spurs were top of the league 2 games into the league, 3 games into the league, and now they're nowhere to be found.
So let's kind of take a bite out of that, right? Is this Conte just coming in, like Eddie said, get the bag, get fired, and go get the job he actually wants?
No, far from it. I think he actually believes his own sauce, which is fair, right? Because he's done it multiple times. He's a serial winner. He's proven it everywhere he's been. I mean, if he could take what many say is the worst Italian national team in over half a century, take them as far as he did at the Euro 2016, he believes his own sauce, and he thinks he can get something out of this Spurs team. And it remains to be seen how far he can take them, right? Because, I mean, let's be honest. If I had to pick that team apart, the first person I'm picking, is Heung-min Son. I will take that guy in a heartbeat. he is quality. So they have, star quality sprinkled across the team, but most of it is just, by the time your midfield is, what's that guy's name again? Is it Skip or Skipper? By the time that's who you are starting in midfield next to Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, like, come on, what are you saying? That's a joke of a midfield by Premier League standards. So he will try, and then he and Daniel Levy are going to get into it because Levy is not going to want to pony up the money to spend. Conte is going to throw a fit, and it will end sour.
Okay,
so
and
that's my expectation.
That's a good point. So Gofi, I'm going to throw it to you. Just kind of pegging back off that, knowing that they spend a lot of money, and I think that's kind of the Tottenham problem now. They spend a lot they have this new magnificent stadium. They're doing all the splash. They're partnering with the NFL. There's a lot of buzz coming there, but as we all know, you can spend all the money you want, but no trophies. Winning, all that stuff doesn't matter to the fans. And to add to that, I saw a comment about Pochettino. He was that guy that took Tottenham just to that, you said the breakup of the league table. He took them just to that brink where they felt like they were in the top four. From time to time, they were kind of, flirting with that fourth position and third position. But was that all just like in the past? Is that something that we should just leave in the past and just take Tottenham for what they are, a mid-table team?
Yeah, a lot of people get lost in the sauce, is how I like to put it. So you have a really nice young group of players. It's always, timing is always everything in football. So you have a solid core of 5 solid guys, 5 guys that can hold their own. On 90 minutes, any opposition in the world, they can hold their own. Except maybe if, you're playing Messi, Ronaldo, that's like different stratosphere. But you have maybe 5 to 6 solid guys. And it just with the same right coach at the same right time. That's what happened with Pochettino and Son, Kane. Who else was in the team? Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Lloris, Sissoko, Dele Alli.
Stop it.
They had a 3-year. Would I even call it 3-year? 3 year. They were second to Leicester. And then the following years when they got to the Champions League final, and then they fired a man. So they had a 3-year window where it just clicked. People always get lost in the sauce. Now, if you step out of it for a second, who has Tottenham bought to replace or join that team that you can say, okay, this guy can start in a true top 4 team? So a true top 4 is Manchester United, Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. If you take this guy, not except those guys that were in that core, if you take him and you put him in any of those 4 teams, he's an automatic starter.
That's really
Højbjerg will compete with McTominay. He's the same level of player. None of those guys, and Ndombele was the only one, but he's fat and he's lazy. So he's not going to make it in any of those top teams. So you're down to the same guys. And then they went and picked Doherty right back, thinking it was a solid deal. Levy is the master of optics. He is the ultimate master of optics. And in the true sense of it all, like Moyo said, they're a true small team. They develop players and they sell them off. That's what they are there for. If they're good enough, they make UEFA Cup. They try to haggle and haggle and haggle, and maybe even Levy is falling for his own sauce, thinking they're a true big team because they got a fancy stadium. And that's why he didn't sell Kane.
True.
But in true Levy fashion, Kane should be gone. Son should be gone. I mean, those guys should be gone 2 years ago, a year ago. Kane should have been sold, and he should have made his money, and they do it all over again. And then they fall into that luck of another 3-year period. They make UEFA Cup almost make the same way when Arsenal had those Curry jerseys. On the last day was when they didn't make the Champions League. If you remember, Robbie Keane, where I think they said he was poisoned or something like that. And Arsenal made the Champions League on that very last game. I think it was a draw or something like that, and they lost. They had that period too. They had Berbatov, they had Robbie Keane, they had Defoe, they had all these good players. But in true Daniel Levy fashion, when the money came for Berbatov and it was a world record, he sold them off.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised in January if Kane is wearing Manchester City colors. I would not be surprised.
And then they probably won't get that 100 million they were quoting for.
No, definitely not.
Probably
definitely not.
Scored just one goal in all competitions this year, and then when you see him, he looks so lethargic. He looks like he's not trying to play. It looks like he's just clocking in and clocking out. I wish I got that paycheck every Friday when I clock in and clock out like Harry Kane. But personally, I really think it always. Football arguments always come back to haunt. This is a story for another day. He was put on top of the list of world strikers for a long time, and I've been saying, hey, potentially he's a very, very good player. Everybody can see what he does. I used to call him Harry Kane, the god. But as a player, I'm not ready to call you a legend if you don't do legend. If you've not done anything legendary, you have the ability to become a legend. I know I'm going off topic here, but that's what I see with Spurs. They have some sort of 1 in 500 billion chance of all the Premier League teams being poisoned for a whole season for them to win the Champions League or for them to win the league. That's how I see it. Spurs were close, but Leicester won the league. Leicester won the league with 10 points. Remember? Leicester with 10 points. To win the league with 10 points, that means you won the league in week 37, week 35. What am I saying? You won the league in week 35. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Close. I think that story is very, very romanticized. The fact that, Leicester won the league by a lot. They were top of the league in December, and they won the league in May. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Spurs were like the ones really chasing.
We can talk about Leicester trying to chase trophies. They've tasted some of it. They won the FA Cup last year. They beat Chelsea last year. And they won the league.
We should be talking about Leicester.
They won the league within the last decade. Easily, they won the league in modern day football. Period.
That's true.
So that's how I see it. Let's talk about Leicester. Let's take Leicester seriously.
Okay. And that's a good argument, right? So, the Spurs have the splash, they have the money, they try to sneak into the Super League that they would have been in like an elite club of teams, but maybe the real kind of next level down from the top four is potentially Leicester. I mean, now maybe a West Ham even. But okay, so quickly let's talk about Gerrard. Just quick. I know it's still new, it's still fresh, and
let me start on this
Rangers. One. He's coming from Rangers, coming to Villa. Yeah, I mean they had a good season last season actually, but this season they've struggled. Of course, they lost their main man, Gentle Jack, to City, where he's kind of flopping. But what is the expectation for Steven at Villa?
I can start on this one. So Gerrard as a player is kind of the only thing I can go off. And then, watching a couple of Rangers games, I didn't watch it 90 minutes because it's just awful football. But one thing I know for sure is intensity. And intensity wins you games. Even on your worst days, if you have intensity, you will win games. So can he get these guys to run? Can he get them to run their socks off? Do you think Steven Gerrard is, big enough of a player and big enough of a presence to convince these 21-year-old millionaires to run? I think so. So if he can get them to play with some level of intensity, some level of desperation, they can make 7th, 6th. And then they have a good team. They have a solid team. Obviously, some tough choices have to be made. Like Danny Ings and Watkins can't start. Somebody has to go. Somebody has to sit on the bench. And then there are few suspect, signings. Like anybody that knows anything about football on any level knows that Leon Bailey is what I call an Instagram footballer. He's not a real footballer. They shouldn't have spent that much money on him. No, for real. I mean, he looks like a rapper more than he plays football. So stuff like that, hopefully when Gerrard gets in, he won't stomach that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. He's very no nonsense. I mean, his reputation at Rangers was very
I'm looking at I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with Aston Villa because they're not even Spurs level in the first place. So I had to just look at their team, and they have a guy called Aaron Ramsey, and it's not even the real Aaron Ramsey. the guy called Trezeguet, and he's not the real Trezeguet. Like, what's going on? They have all these Walmart versions of players, and you're talking about Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard himself is not established. I think Steven Gerrard is
Wait.
You mean as a
Moderator,
manager or as a player?
can you stop that?
manager.
Oh, as a manager.
As a
Okay.
manager,
Oh no,
okay.
Steven Gerrard is a Liverpool legend. He's probably on their Mount Rushmore. So I don't think anybody can argue. You can argue it, but it's a losing argument. So Steven Gerrard is not an established manager. I think he poses the same risk as Xavi. But with Steven Gerrard, there's also this they're thinking of this dream reunion, like, hey, coming to the Premier League, gather all this experience. So at some point when Jurgen Klopp is out at Liverpool, Steven Gerrard is going to be
Mm,
there. So I think another thing, it's another scenario of, everybody's just rushing. Everybody wants to peak right now. Like, Gerard, just enjoy the Scottish League where you are, rack up all these trophies on your belt. At some point, you're going to be playing in the Champions League. You're going to be playing against these teams. If you continue winning that Scottish League with Rangers, you're gonna eventually come to the Champions League. You're going to gather all this experience. In the Champions League with Rangers, they don't expect you to get out of the group. They expect you to make it to third and go into Europa or something. If you happen to make it to the R16,
mhm.
that's good. That's a good enough record for Rangers at that point. But again, you can't tell we're really miles outside the circle to speak on what is going on at these clubs and the management levels. But I'm looking at Aston Villa. They're not in trouble. They lost five straight, yes, but you lost your best player, and your team is not looking solid at all. I think it was a very, very hasty decision to let go of, I can't remember his name, Dean Smith or something
Yeah,
like that.
Dean Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was a very, very hasty decision. Just, oh my God, they're trying to appease the fans. Like, we weren't here last season. Last season, we're taking the chunks off of the top four. We're taking, a draw here, a shock defeat for us at home here, and then just relax and play your game. Despite defeats, you're still above the relegation range. You have a good chance of staying 10th, of finishing 10th, because we're 13 games or so into the season. The season is still very young. Well, it's a third of the season, but you get what I'm saying. There's no
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's no midweek football to really keep you up at night. You know, it
Yeah.
was a rough patch. Teams have rough patches. Arsenal started with 3 losses, I remember, or something like that, and now they're back there. They're ahead of Manchester United. Football goes around. It goes
Yeah.
around. You
No,
always
that makes sense.
you always have to eat the grass in football. You always have to eat the grass.
To your point, it might just be, from his perspective, coming in to get the Premier League experience and do that for maybe a season and a half, and next thing you know, Liverpool needs like a reset, and here comes, the wonderful Steven Gerrard to come in. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about. Last week we had, 2 weeks ago actually, we had our ranking of African footballers since 2000, and there was definitely some comment around, where we put certain players. So I'm going to pull up the ranking that we did last time, but this time around we're going to discuss just one player that we put in tier 2 at the time, and discuss if does he need like a promotion to tier 1, or does he remain in tier 2. We're going to make it very
See
tight,
that graphic.
and then we'll get into the teams, the actual title of the show, which is picking out 11 for
I need to see
2000
that.
to 2010. So here's what we did last time. We shared 14, I think it was 14 players, right? And we ranked them according to,
Why are we doing this? Why?
yeah, so we ranked them according to the tiers. So tier 1, of course, those are like very top level. Tier 2 are like, just below that, and tier 3 are at the bottom in that group. Now, the only thing we're going to focus on this time is Drogba. So we put him in tier 2. So now, quickly, let's discuss, does he remain in tier 2, or does he get promoted to tier 1, and why? And we're going to make this a 5 to
I'm
7
very
minute.
upset. I'm
Hold
very
on.
upset. It's not going to be 5 minutes because I'm very upset. I'm very upset, and I'm going to tell you why I'm very upset.
Okay, tell us why you're
You have
upset.
Riyad Mahrez and El Hadji Diouf and Papilo on the same level. El Hadji Diouf and Riyad Mahrez. Really? Riyad Mahrez is literally the current African Footballer of the Year. And Papilo was the African Footballer of the Year, I believe twice or at least once. Didier Drogba obviously deserves a promotion to tier one. There's no word about it. Mo Salah literally just beat his record like last week. So it shows where he ranks in Europe. You know, he's
Beat
a
what
Champions
record?
League winning player. He's a Champions League winning player. Obviously, not it wasn't the Drogba of the first stint, but he was heavily involved in that Champions League win somewhat. And I believe that while he's in tier one, you know what I'm saying? I might be a hypocrite on this. I believe that while he's in tier one, he might not necessarily be as good as the other two guys, but I believe he's a tier one player. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying Kaká is not a legend because he didn't win 5 Ballon d'Or with Ronaldo and Messi. You know, he's still a tier one level player. You know what I'm saying? But he's just not Ronaldo. He's not Messi. You know. So I think this is way. You can't tell me Didier Drogba's impact of football mimics Essien and Aubameyang. You can't tell me. I'm not gonna stand for it. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So yeah, this is definitely a sham, and I'm happy I wasn't here because it would have been a real argument 2 weeks ago.
All right.
So let me correct
Mikel
the
also
record.
one level up. Mikel one level up.
Let me correct the record. Moyo, thank you. Let me correct the record. We did not do anything. I protested. The moderator and Gofi decided to collude and put Drogba
No,
in
we
tier
didn't. We didn't
two.
collude. This was the chat was also
So
involved here. Well, I'm
I
looking at the chat to see what
protested.
the chat is saying.
Yes, I know. Dari was the one. Dari and Gofi, they were the ones that were saying Eto is the only player in tier one. Even Mo Salah in tier one. In tier one, there's an asterisk next to his name because why? He's still playing. He's not done. So his story is not complete.
But his story, no matter how his story ends at this point, I
He
think
will probably end up there, yes. But for now, until it is complete, he's not there. Let's let it finish. I mean, for all you know, you can end up a dud, God forbid. But
it
he
can't be a
could.
dud at this
He
point.
can bomb. He can bomb. He can still
He's
bomb.
led Liverpool directly to
Excuse
a
me,
Champions League.
Ronaldinho did the same thing, and how did it end?
But nobody will ever tell you Ronaldinho is not a legend. He'll always be
Okay,
a tier one player.
okay, whatever. My point
Okay.
is, I always said Drogba was a tier one player. Who is this person saying? Excuse me, Dari.
Okay.
I will
So
not take this Drogba
we can
slander.
address the comments. We can address the comments.
I will not
So
take this Drogba
the
slander.
why
But
why did
Let's
we
keep
okay,
it. Let's keep
let's
it
address
focused
this.
on Drogba,
okay.
whether it's
So
tier one or
why
tier two.
why did we make Drogba tier two? And why wasn't he tier one? That's the first question. Tier one players, based on the discussion, was players that won had to be considered either the very best at their position for not one season, not 2 seasons, the very best. And not just the best at their position, they were pushing best in the world. And they had the tape to prove it. So when we broke it down based on that, Eto was definitely the best in his position in the world. Now, we weren't talking about clutch players. We weren't talking about, because all three of them are clutch. All three of them have scored important goals in big games. Now, when we put Eto there, which is automatic, he was the best and he did it for God knows how long. Salah, currently, and I put the asterisk on Salah's name, there's a good chance he's going to be either top 5 on Ballon d'Or. I would be surprised if he's not at the podium on the FIFA's best. Now, where I made the personal decision to put Salah and Eto above Drogba. Drogba was a goal scorer. That's his game. He played based off of his strength and he scored goals. Salah and Eto, the tape shows they produced magic. Goals from nothing. Goals from thin air. Goals where, and everybody knows my formula. Whenever we analyze the tape, can you produce something that the guy next to you that they're comparing you to can he match it? Can he match it? He might not be the exact same, but you have to show me tape to where when we play both tapes in a vacuum, no context, no sound, you can't be influenced by the commentator. It's the same level of wow.
And I
Drogba
think
cannot fit
that
in
is
that.
a very, very biased metric, and
It's
obviously,
personal, obviously. It's not.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not.
So exactly. So when it's personal and mine doesn't meet it, it doesn't. It might nullify it for you, but overall, it still doesn't. There's so many football. I'm watching. I'm looking at these. I'm looking at these 18 players on here, and all of them have a totally different style of play, and they're all here. That you're saying that these are the top 18 African players, and I can see that some of them can never do what the other will do, but you can still
Yes.
rank them up there. You know what I'm saying? So football has 11 positions, and when you just multiply, all the permutations of how a player can get from point A to point B, it is endless. It is endless. I watched tapes of the 50s. That's very far back. That's almost 70 years ago, but that's when the Champions League started. And it was like a meme on Instagram about how players scored, and these men just looked like they were 45 years old scoring tap-ins, and then they'll celebrate. But that was the sport in their own time. You know what I'm saying? You can't take away all their accolades. You can't take away the Stefano because
And
you see
no,
what he's doing. Hold on,
that's
hold on.
that's not my point. That's
No,
not my point.
no,
My
no,
point is
no.
not
Let me
to.
let me get to your point. Let me get to your point.
Okay.
Your point is gonna go somewhere, a topic that both of us don't want to start today. It's gonna go exactly here. And we're not gonna
Guys,
start that today. The style of play, I'm looking at Michael Essien here. He's a tier two player according to this list. Played a very, very similar position, almost similar to Yaya Toure. Didn't get the same results. But
What
we're
do you
both
mean?
saying that, huh?
What do you mean they get the same result?
He didn't score as many goals. He didn't lead any team. He didn't carry a Premier League team on his shoulders. Yaya Toure carried Man City for a whole year, scoring 20 something goals, free kicks, headers, everything. He was at the center of everything. But we know that when Essien was sitting back there with Jose Mourinho, he was literally a brick wall.
And I think if you go back and watch the tape, my initial analysis was Essien should not be a tier two player. That was my initial analysis. The only reason I even agreed was because I vividly remember his performance in Lyon for the Champions League besides Juninho. I remember how dominant he was. It's when he got to Chelsea, his game changed because of Lampard, and he was in a stacked team.
Oh,
That's why his game changed.
where's the big
But
gap?
my
I'm
initial
sorry.
argument
The big
to
gap.
match your point, my initial argument was Essien was not a tier two player. He's a tier three. He's down there with the guys at
okay.
the bottom.
So
Now,
guys,
that's my
yeah, go to
perspective.
Drogba, and we need to kind of align on, does he
Okay, so
remain
we
in
just
two or
quick
does he
vote,
remain in
quick
one?
vote. I
Does he
said
go to one?
Tier one,
Obviously, I mean,
obviously.
if it's democratic, obviously he's going to tier
It
one.
doesn't have
But
to be democratic, but I'm just saying for the record. So when the rapture comes and God is asking all of us
he's not.
questions, I have it
The
on the record.
reason he can't be tier one is because he cannot do what these two guys do, and they can do what he does.
You know
He
what AJ's
cannot
problem
do
is. You know what AJ's
what
problem is.
Faster than
Mo
Didier
Salah.
Drogba.
Hold on, let me repeat that again. What Drogba did, and he is known for by all these fans that say he's a big game player. Whatever goal you think he scored in an important game, these guys have done it. And then, if you say, okay, let's reverse it. What these guys do on the field, can Drogba do it? The answer is no.
You know what? In summary, you know what Goofy's argument is. Goofy's argument against Drogba is the fact that Drogba doesn't have techers. That's it.
Yeah.
Drogba
No,
doesn't
I
have
get it.
techers.
I know
So
that.
That
Okay,
is the
okay.
only
Just
thing
for
he's
the
using
record,
against Drogba.
for the record, yeah, go ahead.
If I were to reshape this thing, Drogba gets a little promotion, Aubameyang gets a demotion, Mahrez gets a promotion, Mikel gets a promotion.
Yeah, I mean, I know people.
Yaya
We have.
Toure
Hold on.
might get a promotion if I really want to dive into it. Yaya Toure might get a promotion if I want
Okay.
to get into it.
Yeah,
all these guys, I know maybe all of them have won African Footballer of the Year, but we know the metric of African Footballer of the Year.
To be
Chances are
Hold on.
Lewandowski going to win the Ballon d'Or, but we know,
to be tier one.
it's not tough.
That's why even when people talk, I hate when people throw the word great or he's a great player. To be tier one. And I know people always say, oh, Magic is only you can't put a box on Magic. I agree. You cannot put a box on Magic. Completely agree. But when you compare Magic, you can know when there's a different level. You can compare it. So in other words, if you pull the tape, I always like to go back to the tape because tape don't lie. Numbers
Can I get
every
a
now and then based on
closing
assists.
argument? Can I get a
Let
closing
me
argument?
Let me finish. Assist, goals, those numbers. Obviously, Drogba doesn't even have close. So I'm not even going to go to the goals. He's not scoring the numbers of goals these guys are scoring. He's not even close to them. That's one. And just for the fun fact, Salah is not even a box striker. He's not in the box. He plays up front. So if you put that aside, when you pull the tape and you say, okay, show me these guys' best moment that don't involve a goal. Drogba is crickets. If you show me their best tape that does not involve them scoring, it's crickets. You have nothing.
Yeah, and I get Darius' point. He says Drogba at some point wasn't best striker in the world, but Didier Drogba, his style, obviously, he was more like the strong man in the box. You cannot tell me that a player that scored in almost every final that he played with, and I need that check. It might be every final. It might literally be every final he played.
Stop. They lost to Man United. He didn't score. What are you saying?
He was sent off. He didn't play the final.
He was sent off in the 89th minute. He played almost the whole game. He
No,
was sent off at the
I
end.
see your point,
He
though.
was sent off towards the end of the game when he slapped.
And the game went for another 30 minutes, no?
But he played, so he wasn't an absentee.
Okay, so guys, we need to we need to talk about it. We need to move on. So, what are we saying? I'll leave it to us on the panel here to talk through it in the next
tier
30
one,
seconds.
baby. Tier one.
Go for
I mean, you know where I stand. He's not tier one in my book. He's a good player.
Moya, what about you?
Tier one, easily.
Tier one. I'm just gonna look in the chat. I see like a lot of people are saying tier one. Some people are saying tier two. So, you guys in the chat.
And I
just
want to
put it
repeat
out there.
that again. Let me drive this point home. This is my last point. If you take his tape and you take away putting the ball in the net, and you compare it to these two other guys, he has no tape. That's it.
Okay. Well, man, I don't think, based on the conversation last time and now, I don't think we've done enough to create that promotion. The case is not good enough, I would say. So we're gonna move on. All right. So now it's time to go into, why we're here, right? So
this is about to be fun, boy.
So
can I do push-ups real fast?
Man, it's veterans. They don't mean you gotta do all that.
So we talked about, we had a discussion. What would be a first 11 in the era 2000 to 2010? Now that's 10 years, right? That's a long time. But you have to think about the players that were at the peak of their careers during that time frame. Right. So what we did was we had these guys go off, create their 11. Right. We have it all kind of in stone set. We're going to go through each of their levels one by one, and they're going to tell us why they picked what player. And then once we go through all three of them, then we're going to pick one set of 11 players together. And whether someone has a player they like, they have to make the case of why that person goes in the 11. And in the chat too, we want to kind of make that interactive. So you guys, if you don't agree with, because I've seen the list, there's like some bias here, right? 2000 to 2010, I've seen some players over there. I'm like, what? So let's put it in the chat. If you see a player that's sneaking into the top 11 that you don't think deserves to be there, just let us know. So at the end of this, the goal is to come out with a list of 11 players that we think, you know, show the best of the best in that era. So what we're gonna do now is I'll share everyone's pick, and I'll let each person. I kind of put a title on each person's formation. So I'll let each person kind of talk to each player, why they picked them. Um, no, there's no like this is not the time to kind of debate. This is just each player kind of giving their monologue of why they have their
Oh, okay,
players.
okay. Just give a
So
list, right?
yeah, just the list is just the monologue of the players.
Can we go one
Why
list
people
at a
getting
time?
excited?
Don't throw all three up. Let's just go
No, it's
one
one at
list
a
at a
time.
time.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
one at a
all right.
time. Each person kind of goes over their list. The next person does theirs. Everyone else just kind of keeps quiet. I know you're fuming inside, but just hold it.
Oh, I'm punching this thing, bro.
Hold it, Moyo. Hold it. Just hold it.
When it's time to select 11, everyone has to make their case. And if you see a player that absolutely doesn't make sense, just you can give them like a small remark or anything, but we don't want to make it a conversation. Okay. So the first person up is Gofi. And one other thing I'm going to say is we decided we're going to use 4-4-2, but obviously some players have preferences and they wanted to put more forward players, so they switched the formation up a little bit, which is okay. We can deal with that. But
Also, I'd like to know the one player that made it across all three.
oh, actually, there's a few. There's a few. So Gofi, you're up first. Please kind of walk us through your first 11.
All right. So for my 11, it's pretty much standard. All these players you can justify them, but there are a few. There's maybe one in there. No, two. There are two players in there that were just pretty much just personal. So they did something or they influenced something. It wasn't a logical decision. It wasn't because these guy was just the. He might not have been the best for the whole time, but there's a reason, and I'll explain. So just so I don't waste time, because this is gonna take a while for everybody. So I started keeper Buffon. That one was easily changeable. It could have been Czech. It could have been Van der Sar. But I think Van der Sar had like a lull in that middle, and then he was good at the beginning and at the end. So Buffon was like the only guy I could put there. I also thought about Dida, but Dida, I didn't think it was as good as Buffon. I think it was better at penalties than Buffon. But Nesta started young. So Nesta started young, but I really feel like his best years were right there in that middle. I still can't get that picture of him in AC Milan red out of my mind, especially, growing up watching Champions League from like 2003, 2006, right there. He was really, really good. Ashley Cole, obvious. I think that one's going to transfer between everybody. Now, the interesting one was Zanetti. So he wasn't my original pick, right? And Zanetti, I actually looked it up. This one I wanted to, so I could give the proper story of why I put this guy there. Zanetti actually joined Inter in 95. It took him 4 years. In 4 years, he became captain, and he was really young. If you really track his career, in the early 2000s, he was decent. But he really got his fame, I think, when he hit 30. That's when people start to realize, like, dude, this guy does not get tired. Like, he just keeps running nonstop. And you can't get the ball off him. You can't beat him. You can't, there's nothing you can do. If he gets the ball and he takes it from defense all the way, he was pretty much who Dani Alves was before there was Dani Alves. He was that guy up until I think he retired when he was 39, 30, no, 40. He retired in 2013, which is kind of crazy for somebody that started in 95. He started when Delima was the best player in the world. And this guy played up until 2013. And if you look it up really well, his best years were between 2003 and he capped it off in 2009 when Jose Mourinho played him in the middle with Esteban Cambayaso, Snyder against Barcelona. He played central midfield and they shut down Messi for that first leg 3-1. Zanetti was so good that they had, I think, 8 or 9 coaches, and they switched him to the left wing because Maicon came in, and he started playing left back. That's how good this guy was. For that long, he was untouchable. So that's just my person I put there. Makalele is pretty obvious. If you know football, if you know football. Now, some people will put Pirlo there, but if you know football, there's no way you're putting Pirlo ahead of Deco. There's just no way. If you're a real football, you know football, you play football on any level, you know that Pirlo don't even come close. Then the forwards, I mean, the tape don't lie. So the forwards were selected based on tape. So if you go online, you pull that tape. Forwards, I didn't need you to score goals. Scoring goals, I've seen Inzaghi scored goals. I've seen Christian Vieri scored goals. I've seen players that are not as technically gifted score goals. So if I pull away the goal scoring from you and I watch your tape, no context, vacuum, mute. Is there anybody here that has better tape than these guys? And my answer is no. Zlatan speaks for himself. I mean, growing up, everybody had videos of Zlatan on their phone, for crying out loud. And this guy was like, even a video game, he was like automatic. So Zlatan speaks for himself. Henry, I mean, we literally call him the king for a reason. He's literally the king. And obviously, everybody knows why I put Henry on there. Ronaldinho, I mean, everybody's favorite. So my forwards speak for themselves. That's my list, and I'll let the next person go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this is interesting. Quickly before we get into the next one, so you guys that are watching the video, just quickly just like the video. Just hit the like button. You know, that kind of lets us know that you're engaged and you like what we're doing. So that'll be very much appreciated. So let's get into the next list here. I think we have. Let me just take. Yeah. Hey, your list is up here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Okay. All right. So I went with the 4-4-2 flat. And I don't know why. For some reason, I was just like, yeah, I'm not picking Buffon. So I went with the who I think is just as good. I won't say necessarily better, but just as good. So I went with Iker Casillas. Saint Iker, right? All right. So my back line, I went with Zanetti, obviously. So Kofi, I'm glad you told that story because, Zanetti was one where, very, very underappreciated. Like if you watch football, and one of the things that, I noticed watching him, during that period and, when I was doing my research was even towards the end of his career, it's not like the guy was playing 15 games a season. He was still hitting 30 games a season.
40 games.
30, yeah. It's ridiculous, is right. So yeah, for me, great guy, So my center back partnership, originally I wanted to do a Terry and Carvalho pair, to be honest with you, but we had some issues, so I had to switch out. Terry and Carvalho, you can't argue with this because the first time Mourinho won the Premier League with Chelsea, 15 goals, an entire Premier League season, 15 goals. You have to show respect to that defensive partnership. I'm not saying they're the ones responsible for it all, right? But you have to show respect to that defensive partnership. So I went with Nesta, pretty good guy as well. And then Lilian Thuram, I had to show mad love, had to show respect. Another guy with an engine, just like Zanetti, tough guy. You just have to, right? There's a reason why, and I'll explain further. So looking at the midfield, obviously Makelele. So what I was doing here is I wanted a balanced team, right? I wanted my team to have balance, not like some people that are playing Ronaldinho as a wing back, but I wanted my team to have balance. So you have Dino in midfield. You have Beckham, to sprinkle some pizzazz and, shine and, whip those balls in for the strikers. And then you have strength, solidity in the middle, right? Like, who's going to body these two guys off the ball at any point in time? Nobody. Ball recovery, and not just ball recovery. When you're looking for someone to keep that ball and drive in the midfield, drive to the attacking third, Essien is your guy. I don't care what anybody says. Essien is your guy. So that's why I went for him. And obviously, two best strikers in their position. Tape speaks for itself. Eto'o and Henry. Pace, skill, everything, they have it. Great team. That's
Okay,
it.
cool. All right, let's go into the next. A lot of people are calling you biased, but I mean, I don't know what they're looking at. But hey, you might be. I'm not sure. Uh, so the next list that we're gonna go through is let me get yours up. Moya. One sec. Here.
So Makelele and Ronaldinho.
All right, Moya, walk us through your list.
This is my list.
What?
This is my list. The goalkeeper, I don't have to explain why San Ike Casillas, one of the best. I know we're not supposed to pick at the tail end of the 2010s, but I felt like Casillas made his first appearance that I watched for Casillas was in 2002 Champions League final. And since then, he became like Real Madrid number one. So towards the later part of the 2010s, he was UEFA Keeper of the Year, I think, for 3 or 4 straight years. So I figured that that was automatic for me. And obviously, you have to look at who was the most dominant left back at that time. This is not a case of moving someone here to create space for someone here. Roberto Carlos was the dominant left back at that time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
In the
The center back.
2000s? Never mind. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. When did Roberto Carlos play? Where was his debut?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Roberto Carlos, and then we have Paolo Maldini. You know what? We're taking a step back. Okay. I have too many Madrid players.
I mean,
Players.
it's heavy. So thank you that the comments can actually see that I'm the only true neutral here. God is good.
is no, this is not a 19 to 2002. I don't think so.
Please go ahead.
I don't think
Finish
so.
up, please.
I'm
But
looking
interrupting
at
you.
players that didn't retire until the early parts of the 2010s and the late part of 2000s of the 2000s to 2010. And I think that were the rule. Those were the rules actually. So Fabio Cannavaro, who was the captain of the Italian side that won 2006 World Cup, up until then he was a staple for Juventus. I don't think anything about that is anything about that is missed in anything. He was the center back for Juventus. Paolo Maldini made his name at AC Milan. He still played in the 2006 final as well, or 2007 Liverpool. He scored the first goal 1 minute in. Liverpool AC Milan. He scored
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
goal 1 minute in.
Mhm.
So I know that he was deep, and I know that was the tail end of his career. Obviously, he was I think 33, but for center backs, that's just about where it starts to get old. So I know that he was a staple for AC Milan all through those early 2000s years. Cafu might have been sentimental for me. Who was the first right back that I grew up with. He was the model for right back for me at that time. I always saw Cafu as the best right back. He played for AC Milan, I believe, until 2008, when things had to change for Milan. I think they won a Champions League final. I was like, all right, it's time to move on and let's do some other things. So that one might be my oddball, Cafu, but I still respect your other choices of Zanetti and Turan, but I don't think Cafu's far back. Ricardo Kaká is a blend of the new and the old generation. I don't know how else to explain Kaká being there. I don't think that needs explanation. Zizou might. I don't know if this is a biased choice, but 3-time Ballon d'Or winner at that time. You know, another one where it was there was there was some sort of uh there was some sort of an introduction for me in 2002 to Zidane and Casillas. So those guys are special to me at that time. Uh, you know, and then Makalele, like I said, cuts across the board. I don't have to explain him. He was the central defensive midfielder of that time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's simple. Claude Makalele in. Ronaldinho doesn't need to be explained. Very, very special player. I remember watching 2002 World Cup and he scored that goal against England, and I was elated. I didn't know I had hated England for such a long time. Well, in terms of the Three Lions, I always felt they've been overrated in international tournament. I never want to see the Three Lions win anything, you know. And another one that might be a sentimental value of me for me is Andriy Shevchenko. I think he was a very, very modern striker. I believe he was very good with everything. He was powerful. He was fast. He was good on the dead ball, on the receiving end or starting it. He was AC Milan's joker for a long time, up until that unfortunate final in 2005. Was it against Liverpool? Was 2005 or six? I can't remember what year it was.
2004.
Oh, 2000, no,
No, you're talking
2004
about the
2004.
Miracle of Istanbul, right?
Miracle.
2005.
2004. 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2004, 2005.
2004, 2005, yes.
Yeah, and then obviously any or I this is what I don't know why Ronaldo Phenomenal is missing out of you guys lineup. I don't know why.
Cause you old, bro. You old.
What year
Let
Ronaldo?
him finish. Let him finish. Let him
What
finish.
what
Let him
what
finish.
what? So what period are you looking at? If Ronaldo Phenomenal played, he won the World Cup in 2002.
Dude.
He won the
So,
World Cup in 2002. What
All right,
period are you
moderator,
looking
take
at?
this.
If a
please.
player,
so
hold on, can I finish? If
yeah, go
Ronaldo
ahead. Go ahead.
Phenomenal that won the
Make your
World Cup
case.
in 2002, big money signing to Real Madrid, went to 2006 World Cup, became the highest goal scorer in World Cup history at that time, before he was beat by Miroslav Klose, I believe, in 2010 in Brazil. So
his
I don't get
his worst years were at Real Madrid.
his worst years were at Real Madrid,
Yes.
so he doesn't deserve to be in this lineup.
So I
I'm
mean,
just saying
he's picked his
his
lineup.
worst
What year do
years
you put?
were at Real Madrid.
What year do you put it? What year do you what in what era do you put Ronaldo phenomenal? If he doesn't make it this
Ronaldo
era,
phenomenal. If we were going to do a decade, you can say from 95 to maybe 2005.
his professional debut was in 2000. It was in '96, I believe. For he played in the '96, but he didn't play '98. He didn't even play.
Delima is a 90s player. The France 98 was his time. He was done by
The
2003.
rules were we should try and cap it at 2007, right? Because
No.
we do
We
not
s-
want Ronaldo and Messi. We
Okay,
You're
want
gonna
so
to
have
keep
to
it
guys,
you have
Ronaldo
to
and
guys,
redo your list, Moyo. You
guys,
have to
Guys,
redo
guys.
your list.
hold on.
So that's
No, I'm not going
that's
to
his
redo it.
list.
This is my team.
That's his team,
Okay,
right?
okay,
So what we're gonna do
okay.
now is we're gonna go and we're gonna take. You guys can keep your players and have your list and whatnot, but now we're gonna have a blank list.
Hey, Julie, 1 second. Can you pull up Gofi's list one last time? I want to see something.
Let's see if I can
Tape,
find. Yeah,
bro.
there
The
it is.
tape don't
All
lie,
right.
bro.
So okay. All right. Deco. I got it.
Okay.
That's all I was
So
missing.
we're gonna pull up a blank list, right? And with the blank list, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from the goalkeeper, right? And from the goalkeeper, we'll walk our way to the defenders, midfielders, and then the forwards. So as I'm pulling that up, please again, like I said, like the video. Let me get that up. And
Like the
guys,
video, guys. Appreciate it.
just make sure make sure you guys can come to an agreement. There's some names or there's some positions that are kind of pretty straightforward, and I think we already know like what each person prefers, and you guys you're aligned on a particular player. Let's just kind of keep that easy. But then there's some that are going to be a little bit more contentious, and we can debate that. But let's
Okay,
get
can I
into
say
it.
something really quick, please?
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
so I hope if you can see my hands. If this is 2000, this is 2010. The player has to be from 2000 coming up, 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be done. That's it, Moyo. From 2000, the beginning of 2000, he was either coming up or he was there
when was
and he's
Ronaldo's
coming
debut? When was
down.
Ronaldo's debut? When was Ronaldo's debut?
Ronaldo's peak, his absolute peak, was France 98.
After
Nah,
that,
stop it.
because he won
Stop
two
it.
Ballon
Stop
d'Or
it.
after that.
He did
He's
2002.
absolute
2002. He did good.
He won two
He
Ballon d'Or
wasn't
after that time.
That 2002, he might have won all the Ballon d'Or in the world. That France 98, Ronaldo de Lima. he could never reach that peak again. That guy
That is
was
fine. It
a
doesn't mean he doesn't
beast.
make my list. Look,
No, I'm just telling
we
you. I
set
mean,
some
he
clear
can be
rules.
on your
We set
list.
some clear rules. Maybe the rules weren't clear enough to everybody.
That's what
We
I
set
said.
some clear rules that was the the objective of the rules, and the host knows why he made those rules was to make sure that Ronaldo and Messi were MIA from every
And then
list.
you went and picked Ronaldo de Lima. That's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid putting all these guys that are like great, great, great. We wanted to be the middle
Put that.
guys.
Nobody put that though. There was
Okay,
that
guys.
caveat. All right. So let's hurry up on this list.
Yeah.
We're running out.
So here's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna start from the goalkeeper. Right now, you remember what you guys have picked. Let's start from the goalie. Who's the goalkeeper in this era?
Yeah,
I know there's Buffon and there's Casillas.
I have no beef with Casillas. That's a good pick. I think he dropped towards the end of the late 2000s. He stayed a little too long, but in the mid, he got tape. Casillas got tape of some unreal stuff.
Okay, that's fair. Moving to let's start with the right back actually.
Now I gotta ask, why? Why did you pick Thuram? Really?
Yeah, bro. Zanetti is not a right back. Zanetti played left side, so he's not a
switched
right
him
back.
to left side.
Left side.
You know what?
He'll play left wing back. He'll play left back.
As they say in nowadays, it's your story. Tell it as you like it.
So I mean,
Thuram is a good call, but Thuram, really?
I mean, he definitely not picking Cafu over him.
Hell, Moya old. Moya's 40.
So
too old.
So we have to.
Big play from
We have to.
95.
And Moyo just messaged me. He had to step out real quickly. But I mean, if we are gonna pick a player, I mean, there's Cafu and then there's Thuram. That era. I mean, what's the? I mean, Thuram is. I mean, he was.
You can't do very much better than that guy. Put Thuram in.
What are the other left backs?
So here's the thing, though. Like I see people saying Zanetti. Oh, someone
It's
says
Zanetti,
Zambrotta.
dude.
Zanetti wasn't right-sided. He wasn't.
Dude,
right-sided.
he was right. He was right-sided forever. It was because Maicon came along. That's why you think he's a left back.
When who came along?
Maicon to play right back when they bought him from Monaco. That's why you think he's a left back. Zanetti is a true right back.
He played all along that left flank, man, as far as I remember.
Later in his career, yeah. Zanetti is the easy one. We're not about to put Thuram over. It's okay. I guess we can ask, is Thuram better than Zanetti?
No, the argument here is now let's look at the left back. So the left back choices are Roberto Carlos, Ashley Cole, and Zanetti. Who we going over there?
Can we please just ignore Moya's list?
No. He made his pick. So if you got to pick one of them three on the left side, who are you going with? Ashley Cole, Zanetti, Roberto Carlos.
Roberto Carlos is a 90s player.
Okay, all right. So we've discounted him. Ashley Cole, Zanetti on the left.
It has to be Ashley Cole.
Nah,
because Zanetti was not a. You can't with a straight face say Zanetti was a better left back than Ashley Cole.
Ashley Cole, yeah. It's that's gonna be a hard. It's gonna be a hard.
That's gonna be hard to. Man, people gonna see our list. You don't want us to clown us. Thuram on the right, Zanetti on the left. What are we doing, man?
So no, but I think it's something to talk about, right? So the left back, I mean, it has to be a natural left back that's well known for being a left back, right? Same thing for the right back. So I think putting Zanetti on the left back position over Ashley Cole, I mean, it's gonna be a little bit like disrespectful left back.
I gotta pull this one up because I'm having a hard time.
So are we saying Zanetti stays in the right back?
Yeah, I mean, he's in either way for me. It doesn't matter where he's in either way.
Okay.
So,
and then on the left,
yeah, I have the qualms with Ashley Cole.
Untouchable, bro. That should have been an untouchable. He should have been on everybody's list.
Ashley Cole. Oh,
Nah, but you
he's
see,
amazing.
when we said they have to be at the peak of their powers, right? If you look at 2006 after the World Cup, right? He just quit. What do you call it? Arsenal, right?
No. Yes.
He
2006.
just quit
Yes.
Arsenal for
2006,
Chelsea. Yeah. So
He was-
England
he-
showing didn't really. I mean, yeah. That's
What
why.
was he
That's
like?
why.
Question is, what was Ashley Cole like at Chelsea? Was he a shutdown left back?
Oh dear
Remember,
God.
he was on the
not,
Invincibles.
I'm not doing
He
this
was
with
on the
you, man.
Invincibles.
I'm not
Remember
doing this
that?
with you, bro. I'm
And
not
then
doing
he
this
went
with
to
you.
Chelsea, and he literally became a shutdown left back. Like, there's
Okay, so
literally-
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I think the argument for Ashley Cole kind of stays. I mean, he's in that era. Like, think about all the left backs going, like you said. If you look at it as a bell curve,
Mhm.
from 2000 to 2010, that peak of the middle 2005, 6, 2004, like he's up there. It's
He was
almost
right there
impossible to challenge.
in that small time frame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost impossible to challenge him there.
All right.
So let's go to
Center
center
backs.
backs.
This was a
So
tough one, man.
center backs, Kofi and I both had Nesta, so I think he goes in. We definitely not doing Maldini because Maldini retired from the Italian national team after the 2002 World Cup.
I can
So,
tell
no.
you, Moya's 40, dog. Just
So-
take his list,
So no.
roughing it up, and just put it
So
somewhere,
we
man.
both put Nesta in. I don't know. Cannavaro, there's a strong argument to be made about Cannavaro, right?
What's
Um,
the? I mean, of course. I mean,
He won the World Cup with Italy,
So
right?
this is why I
And
question.
is
this
the
why-
only footballer that has won
defender that won the Ballon d'Or, right?
defender that's won the Ballon d'Or. So
I completely agree with
I mean,
that.
come on.
Here's my problem. The real fans, and I bet you if you look in the chat, Cannavaro could not defend. He was not a good
I'll
defender.
give him that he had a good period of time.
I
He
think it was
had
just
like
that World Cup, bro. It was just that
He
World
had
Cup.
one really good season with
Yeah.
Juve. He had the World Cup, and immediately he signed for Real Madrid.
Became
His
crap.
real skills showed.
Yeah.
Dude, he was not. Bro,
That's why
he was
I
not a
didn't
good
go for
defender.
him. That's why I didn't go
He
for
was
him.
not a good dude. Just take a peek at the chat. I trust my guys. Trust me, they're telling you the truth. Cannavaro was not a good defender, dude.
All right.
He
So
was,
the choices
he was okay, but he was
the
not
choices
that good.
left are Terry or Thuram.
Bro, Terry broke my heart. Terry literally took a boot to the face in the final just to prevent a goal. That one broke my heart. So I mean, I'm okay. He was. I think it was Colin Diaby kicked him in the face just so he could block that shot. Man, Terry was unplayable, dude. That was his time. I know people love Carvalho, but Terry was.
You know what? Here's what I'll say, right? What a lot of people who who didn't watch Chelsea don't realize is, I think Carvalho was the superior defender, right? But it's just like Van Dijk, right? Or well, sorry, I have to get my Man United trolling in somehow. I have to get my fix. So you know how Maguire is always doing traffic cop, directing people, right? Carvalho was the one that was actually doing the defending, and because he was so good, he made Terry look good. I'm not trying to take anything away from Terry. Terry was good, but he looked even better with Carvalho next to him. If you remember when Carvalho was injured and we had to pair Terry with Alex or all the other guys who replaced him, it wasn't quite as good as that partnership, right? As that pairing of Terry and Carvalho.
That's true.
So yeah, so Terry, but me, I would go with Carvalho every day, but yeah, Terry's good enough.
No, and I think that makes sense. So I'm gonna
to keep the balance of the team. Terry on the left, and Nesta on the right is not a bad deal.
Hey, he's back.
He's back. So we're about to
He's gonna be upset. He's gonna be upset.
I'm keeping it cool. I'm keeping it cool. Never mind. I'm keeping it cool.
So
his 1995 list up here.
So let's
Zanetti's debut was in '95.
let's go into the midfield. So let's start with the two central midfielders, or I mean, it could be defensive midfielders. Or
All
central
right.
midfielders.
No.
So,
Well, I think everybody had Makelele in, right? So he goes automatically.
He's in automatic.
He goes. So the other pick, we have Deco Zidane. I know I'm going to lose this one. Deco Zidane Essien. And here's why I didn't go.
I mean, aren't you embarrassed for yourself?
No. Look. What did I say? I said I wanted balance in my midfield, right? By the time you have Ronaldinho attacking, and then you have Zidane attacking, and you have Beckham moving forward, who's going to be the left? You can't just leave Makelele. I needed balance in my team.
It doesn't matter. We'll win
This is
10-9.
a fantasy team, dude. We're not about to put them on the field. This is a fantasy team.
Yeah, that's true. This is a fantasy team.
We'll win 10-9.
Okay, so what are we thinking pairs up with Makelele in the center?
Makelele, like I said, is automatic.
Oh, hang on. So we also let's do left midfield. Everybody had Dino in their team, right? So Dino goes in as well.
Dino left automatic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any
and I know I'm going to lose with the Beckham thing, but like I said, I needed some pizzazz in there. So these two clowns also picked Kaká, so you can put Kaká in on the right.
Beckham couldn't even dribble a standing pole on his best.
Bro, you can't see. Can you imagine Beckham playing a through ball for Henry or Eto'o? Just think about it.
Guys, okay. I
think you need a threat from both sides now. Think about it.
Who's partnering with Makelele?
Beckham on the right. So, I mean, so is Zidane or Deco? I would go with Zidane.
Why do we have Zidane?
That's the only reason why I told you I needed balance in my team, and that's the only reason why I dropped him to the bench.
Zidane's career is almost like a mirror image of R9. Zidane's best year, where it's top of the top peak. Although he had that 2006 World Cup, is the same way De Lima had that 2002 World Cup. Zidane had a phenomenal World Cup.
If you AJ,
there was
this is why I say the rules weren't clear. The rules when you did your little arch, right? It was supposed to drop somewhere in 2007. If we really wanted to be honest.
So
if Lilian Thuram can make this list, there's no reason Cafu and Maldini are so out of sorts. You know what I'm saying? I'm not arguing. My list is my list. But we wanted that arch to just drop right before Ronaldo and Messi. I struggled to put Kaká.
No, I tried to explain. Their peak had to be 2003, 4, 5, 6. It had to be somewhere in there.
Was Pichichi. 2003, Ronaldo was Pichichi.
So I mean,
not his best
World Cup. He won the 2002 World Cup for Brazil. So
guys,
and Cristiano Ronaldo won Ballon d'Or.
Keep in mind.
That's not the point.
I left everybody from that era out.
We're trying to pick a center midfielder next to
let me say this, right? The argument is obviously I'm going with Zizou, but let me tell Gopi why we're going with Zizou, right? Zizou because he did what R9 did. What Dino did over a longer period of time. He was more consistent. He didn't have all that stuff that Dino had. Dino had his highs were very, very high, but then he fell off bad, right? But like you said, 2006, even when Zidane was going out, he knew he was going out. If not for that headbutt, I still believe today, if not for that sending off, for that headbutt on Materazzi, I still believe France would have won that World Cup. And that was the first time I ever saw a player take control of a game, and not just one game after game. He just took control of the team and was running it like a quarterback. He was just running it.
So it sounds like we're making the case for Zidane. I mean, it's almost impossible to kind of come up.
My midfield made it
against Zidane. Okay, so now we're going to the strikers. Let's pick our left striker.
Eto'o, please.
Dude, as Africans, if anybody doesn't put Eto on there, we just might as well end this right now. Like, just
No,
end this whole thing.
but it's
Really?
no point. Hey, guys, keep in mind, this has nothing to do. This is that era. I mean, if you're looking
Best
at the
of the
best
best.
strikers of the time,
Man,
it's definitely up
that
there.
man was
So
untouchable.
yeah, there's no argument there whether it was
Eto
African or
can
not.
make it. If Eto can make it, there's absolutely no way Andrew Shevchenko doesn't make it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
right,
here's
so
why
let's
I
have a
left Sheva
discussion.
off. Here's why I left Sheva off, right? 2006. When was it that he transferred to Chelsea? It was 2000. That summer of 2006, or was it the following summer,
I think it
2007?
was 7. I think
2006.
it might have been 7
I
or 6.
googled
Okay,
it was 06.
he fell off.
That was the year Ronaldinho joined AC Milan too. So let's
fell
make
off.
sure we're good.
He fell off.
Hold up.
Sheva fell off at
Wait.
Chelsea. That's not up for debate.
Who is he competing with again?
It's
Sheva,
him,
it's
Henry.
Henry, Zlatan, or
Zlatan.
R9.
He's obviously the last.
Yeah, Shevchenko is definitely not on that
he's
list.
at the bottom of that pile.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Shevchenko.
If he's going
a
up against
great
Henry
player.
and
I
I still
R9,
had the tape in my mind.
Shevchenko, a Ballon d'Or
Shevchenko.
winner. Oh my god.
Dude,
Guys,
he's a
let's
great,
again.
see, you
great
guys
player.
were
have
being
one
romantic. I was being tactical about this. You guys were being romantic. So I went
No.
for
You have to. There has to
tactical
be some level of
superiority.
romance. Shevchenko was a great player. Great
Oh yeah, no
player.
doubt.
But the tape shows what
Henry
Zlatan
running like a gazelle.
Henry could do with the football between their feet. Shevchenko could not do it in this lifetime or the next.
Moyo, take your
It's just
win.
what it
Your
is.
midfield made it. Just take your win.
My midfield and my
good.
goalie made it.
No, I know
Yeah.
Shevchenko is
so-
a sentimental thing because he has that poster on his phone of Shevchenko. It's a nice picture, actually. I stole it from him.
Dude, okay, so I mean, I get the Shevchenko argument, but come on, I think on that list is Henry, Shevchenko. I mean, not even. I mean, my mind.
So is R9 on this list now? Because I'm ready to fight.
R9 is not on this, dude. Can we stop?
I'm just saying. Okay, so right now it's between Henry and who?
Zlatan.
Man, poor Henry. Man, stop it, bro. Stop it.
So I mean,
But why do you pick Henry over Zlatan?
The golf is incredible. Zlatan.
Yeah.
What?
Zlatan, you want to do the eye test. You always want to do the eye test for something. Then you might as well just watch futsal. There's a lot more to football than you have to be clutch. You have to be on this list. You have
Yeah,
to
that's
have
that
your
people
moments.
always confuse team football from individual brilliance. We're comparing individuals. We're not comparing what you did in the system and the team. We're comparing if we played in a vacuum, when you take their tape, what they could do with a ball.
In the vacuum, is it?
No, it's not. But what we're doing is a vacuum.
By that
We're
standard,
literally
why is
creating a
Javi
vacuum.
Zanetti here? Why is Ashley Cole here?
Dude, we're creating a vacuum of non-reality. We're not creating a team that's going to compete. This is not going to happen. We're creating something out of nothing. So when you're comparing players, you're comparing them in a vacuum. You can only take their solo moments to compare.
I think
this.
I have one ask. I need the host to write the rules for the next time we do a first sign his name, buy it with his social security number right there.
Okay, so but I think if you take this list and you should, like most people, they might argue like maybe one player, but this, I mean, that era, this kind of makes the list, if just quickly in under 2 minutes, if there were 5 players on the bench, who would they be? Just very, very quickly, just kind of run off 5 players. Yes, just 5 players you're going to put on the bench.
So closer for striker.
Okay.
What is wrong with this guy?
No, let him give his list.
Closer for striker.
Okay.
I'll have in midfield. Who would I put in midfield? Hang on. Let me look at my list again.
And they don't have to be like different positions. You could put 5 strikers
Yeah,
because you feel they
okay.
should have gotten in the list.
No.
anyways.
Okay, so my bench is check. Zambrotta, Balak, Zidane, Closer.
Okay. Moya, what about you?
Zidane's already in the team.
How's
But
my-
yeah, everybody knows I love my Michael Ballack. Michael Ballack will make the bench. Andrew Shevchenko, another sentimental
Okay.
favorite of mine. For defender, I'll just put, I think I'll put John Terry on that bench. Oh, he's already in the team. Sorry. I think
John Terry's on the team, yeah.
I'll put Ricky Carvalho on that bench. I think he also brought that spell to Real Madrid. He was a solid defender. So I can't think of anything else. I have Sheva, I have Ricky Carvalho, and I have Michael Ballack.
Okay. Go through. What about you?
All right, up front, Zlatan, of course. That's like
Okay.
human, impossible, unreal, highlight reel. So Zlatan, Deco, Carvalho. Are we putting a keeper or just outfield players?
That doesn't matter. Whatever 5 you feel should
So
should have made the team.
Zlatan, Deco, Ricky Carvalho. So I need 2 more. Who are the other guys on the list? I'm not putting any more defenders. Carvalho is enough. Who is my midfielders?
Pirlo, Lampard, Gerrard.
Gerrard. That was the guy I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Carvalho, Gerrard, Zlatan, Deco, and then there was one more striker. Oh, Shevchenko was mine.
Shevchenko.
I would have put Shevchenko on there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, this I think that's a good list. I mean, there's some other players that you might think of that you know what, they had like a spell there. But I think like Lampard should have made the list.
Yeah, of course.
Of course you do.
When you think about midfielders,
Frank Lampard Jr. definitely should get a shout.
definitely, I think on at
So
least an
many
honorable,
players.
In any
mention.
list that you put Steven Gerrard, you have to put Lampard. They join.
Exactly.
They're the Ronaldo and Messi of their tier.
No, I agree. So, but anyways, that was our list. So we'll publish it on our Twitter and Instagram. So feel free to share. If you guys disagree with anything, of course, let us know. And we can always address it. I know there's always people that say, no, this guy should have been there. This person doesn't deserve to be
No,
on there.
Barry got something to say.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think he wanted Ori on the bench for some reason. And I think he's just, I think he's the Man U fan. So
The United fan, that guy was if he could.
Yeah, that's just the United fan in him. So quickly, before we wrap up, just wanted to shout out again. Feel free to follow us on Twitter, Instagram.
Please
we're gonna keep putting announcement as we plan these shows. We're gonna put updates on there. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, once we get another show planned, you guys can get a reminder when the show starts and watch. Also, like the video. Before we wrap up, guys, quickly, last thoughts. Anything that's still burning in your mind before you go, and just drop it. Just drop it and like live it.
I gotta go first because I'm burning inside. Moya, you're old, bro. Like the same way you gotta update your playlist in your car. You know how you still listen to your Rick Ross from 2002?
That album on Friday.
Yeah, of course he did. You would know. Like you need to come on, man, let it go. Happy Veterans Day, full to all my guys, Wasas, all my military guys, Veterans Day. Those that served and those that pseudo served. God watching you. Happy Veterans Day.
Cool. All right, Shay, you final thoughts?
Drogba is tier 1.
Oh,
Thank you.
More your final thoughts.
Final thoughts. All scammers will be found out and make the rules clearer on top of peaks and stuff like that, because all those players, all 22 players that we mentioned, all 33 players that we mentioned at some point had a peak within that period. They had something very, very significant. So I believe every player had a right to be somewhere there. So we're all good.
Okay, cool.
Drogba is tier 1.
Oh,
thank you.
Okay.
Thank
you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.